Duke Nukem Forever weren't called Duke Nukem Forever, no one would be paying a bit of attention to it. It's boring and ugly and filled with raunchy humor that isn't funny.
Coochie coochie.
Its multiplayer is old and broken, and in single player you do more walking and platforming than you do shooting. But this bad shooter is called Duke Nukem Forever, so of course we want to say, oh, this is just Duke being Duke, or hey, it's supposed to be old school. But neither of those things are actually true. Duke Nukem Forever doesn't play like Duke Nukem 3D. It plays like a bad modern sci-fi shooter with extended platforming and driving sequences. So it really isn't old school at all, though it certainly does look old. Duke's world has absolutely no personality, no color, and no excitement. Maybe you want to play this game because you want to experience the train wreck for yourself. Maybe you want to play because you waited for so long, or because you want some raunchy fun. It doesn't matter why you want to play, just avoid the temptation. There are far better games that deserve your attention. Duke Nukem Forever's biggest problem isn't that it's offensive. Its biggest problem is that it's boring. You spend far too much time jumping and driving around and far too little time shooting. Some levels are only 3 or 4 minutes long and have no shooting at all. The boredom that results is further magnified by the ultra-long loading screens that follow if you play on console. Other levels seem to last forever. The worst of them involve driving Duke's monster truck through canyons and up ramps. The driving isn't very exciting, and every so often you run out of gas. And so you go hunt for a fuel can. And you do that not just once or twice, but 3 times. There are long jumping bits and truly awful levels near the end when you swim underwater. And once you finally muddle to the end, Duke says, "What kind of shit ending was that?" And his line pretty much says it all. And just because he jokes about it, doesn't make the ending any less shit. Of course, you do shoot aliens as well, though Duke now only carries 2 primary weapons at a time. The guns and enemies are mostly the same as before, but the shooting isn't as fun as it is in Duke 3D. There's little sense of impact. Enemies just sort of fall over when you kill them and don't react much to your shots before then. But at least it's fun to use the shrink ray to shrink pig cops and stomp on them. Too bad you get so few opportunities to do it. But hey, this is Duke, right? Maybe the game is funny and sexy and misogynistic and silly. Well, Duke Nukem Forever tries to be funny and offensive, but it really isn't. You visit a very unsexy strip club without anyone stripping. A blocky character model gives you a topless lap dance, but only after you do a fetch quest for her. A fetch quest that involves putting popcorn in the microwave. Fun. You punch aliens in the junk, the game makes abortion jokes, and it tries so very hard to make you laugh. But it all falls flat because there's no irony and no over-the-top energy. The people and places have no color or craziness. It's like having some boring random dude tell a joke in a monotone voice, but then never deliver the punchline. Furthermore, Duke Nukem Forever is rather ugly. The art design is all bland and straightforward, so there's nothing to make you overlook everything that's technically decrepit about the game's looks. Textures are blurry and bland, and on consoles, the texture pop-in is pretty rough. The edges are jagged, the lighting is flat, the character models are blocky and sometimes out of proportion, and their elbows look sharp enough to cut a side of beef with. At least on the PC, you can get over 100 frames per second on a modern machine, even with all the settings cranked up. On consoles, the bad looks are accompanied by jittery frame rates. How is it that a game that looks this old performs this poorly on modern consoles? But hey, you say, multiplayer could be a ton of fun, right? Well, there are 4 different modes, all of them typical shooter standbys, and the maps are fine on their own. But even on a low ping server, the lag can get horrendous, and on console, frame rate troubles just magnify the jankiness.
That's genius!
It's amazing how a single game can feel so old and yet so rushed all at the same time. It looks incredibly old, like it should have been released 6 or 7 years ago. There are reasons for that, of course, but that doesn't make it okay when you're expected to pay full price. But the poor pacing, the way everything feels stitched together without any sense of momentum, the technical problems, these things and more make Duke Nukem Forever feel as if it was thrown out the door with minimal effort. So, let's say you want to have loads of raunchy first-person shooting fun. In that case, play Bulletstorm. Let's say you want something old school. Then play Duke Nukem 3D or Serious Sam or Painkiller. Let's say you want some no-frills online shooting. Then play Unreal Tournament or Half-Life 2 Deathmatch. But don't look at Duke Nukem Forever as anything other than what it is. A bad, boring, bargain bin kind of game.